Hey all, thanks so much for joining me today. I am so pumped to have you guys on and to be collaborating with you. I'm a big believer that collaboration is the beginning of all good things. So, having you, Luke, from Australia, and Zach from Australia as well, Gary from Singapore, and Nick from the UK, I know that the conversation is going to be awesome today. So, Nick, let's just jump right in. Yeah, you're here to talk about scripting. So for me, scripting, after we've come up with why we're making a video, after we've decided to make a video, scripting is the first thing that I start with. Is that the same for you, and how come?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it's got to be the same for anyone creating a video because it's really the backbone of your content. It's the complete outline for what the structure of the video is you're going to be, and it's how you know what's going to happen in your video.
I love that, Nick. What are some things to be thinking about when you're trying to come up with a great script?
First off is just as you're writing, read it out to yourself. People, when they start writing scripts, first off, with the best of intentions, they use lots and lots of words and they write it beautifully, but you're not writing for the written word, you're writing for the screen and you're writing for the spoken word. And I guess because of that, you really need to write the way you speak and not write the way you write. And that's kind of a hurdle for a few people at first.
Yeah, Nick, I've definitely gotten some strange looks from my partner when, I'm just sitting at the computer and then all of a sudden I just start speaking aloud, reading the script out loud, practicing it, trying to get it in my own voice, right? So I love these tips. When you're talking about speaking efficiently and trying to get your message across quickly and clearly, what are some thoughts or what are some tips that you have in terms of making that happen?
Also, look, anyone who's been through Schuster training with myself or you or Luke or whoever else it is, I'm sure they've heard the 3-10-30 rule. And I mean, there's a good reason we talk about that so much. It's because it's an incredible rule. Look, Google came up with this after tons of research into how people watch videos and how people's attention sticks with videos and how to be efficient with language. And that's what the 3-10-30 rule does. So in that first 3 seconds, grabbing somebody's attention, it's there to help you be concise and get to the point, and then grab people's attention too. Then that first 10 seconds about setting the scene, again, it's as much for you and as much for grooming you to write well as it is for the audience and to grab their attention too. So then after you've set that scene, then you kind of dive in, and within the first 30 seconds, clearly communicating a key message helps you stay concise and helps you get to the point as well. So I think it's such a valuable thing.
Yeah, I definitely think it's just super easy to get, caught up in your own head and, you start rambling and you lose track of the purpose or the message and you're going down rabbit holes as I'm kind of doing right now. But having a clear script to be your guiding light or your compass is definitely so integral to the video process and getting your message across clearly. As our audience goes into writing their own script, what are some final thoughts that you have for them to make sure that they do well?
Okay, look, I mean, I've got a single final tip, which I think is really key. It's so important for people, and it sounds really obvious, but it's being authentic and being you. It's not like about hashtag you be you and like living a free, carefree life, but it's really about like people just speaking the way they would speak and writing their script the way they would actually say it. If you always write as yourself, you have more of a connection with the material when you say that. And to that point, like, I guess, if you have to write a script for somebody else, make sure they get a chance to put it into their own words too, or at least to skim it and to say, hey, I wouldn't say this like this, I wouldn't say this like this, because the results are always better when it feels like something you would naturally say.
I love that, Nick, and I love everything that you're saying about how, if it's not written in your own voice and if it's not authentic, you can see that in your face and that ultimately affects your video, which is exactly why Andrew's going to be telling us about presentation best practices. Andrew, what kind of impact does a good or bad presentation have on video? Where does presentation come into play when we're talking video?
I think literally all videos that have a presenter in them that you can see, or even just a presenter that you can hear, they have a huge impact on the outcome of the video. Now, one of the things that I love most about video is the idea of mirroring. So mirroring between two people in real life or on video is basically where people start to copy each other. Two humans, let's say if you yawn, then the person you're with might yawn as well. That sort of thing is infectious. Or if you're smiling at somebody as you're speaking to them, it's really hard for them to avoid smiling back. So say, for example, your business has a new product that they've developed and they're trying to sell. If you present that with a face that isn't active and a voice that isn't active, and you're telling people how great the product is, you're going to have a very different outcome to if you seem excited about the product, you've got an active face, you've got an active voice, your body language is switched on, that's going to make people feel very differently about the thing that you're talking about. And that's going to influence their behavior in the future. If you can be mindful about the way that you're appearing, the energy that you're giving off, what you're doing, you can cause your audience through mirroring to feel the same way that you're feeling about what you're talking about. And that can be really powerful.
Amazing. So it sounds like, a great presentation actually has a lot of influential power on how your audience feels about your brand, your company, your message, all of these things. Andrew, for our audience, if they're preparing for a presentation later this week or down the road, what words of advice do you have for them to help them succeed?
So one of the biggest things that I want people to do whenever they're preparing to present on camera, to read from a teleprompter, to deliver a script, is to practice. Now, in order to do that really well, I want you to practice properly, to practice as if you're presenting on camera in that moment. So a lot of people, when they practice their presentation, they'll tuck themselves into a corner, head down, and they'll sort of mumble through the script. They won't even get all the way through. They'll stress themselves out even more so than they were before they started practicing. So for anyone practicing a script, I want you to print it out on a piece of paper or to use the teleprompter, hold it up, read it in a full voice all the way through as you mean to present it, and do that a number of times.
Andrew, that's awesome. Clearly with great presentation comes great power. But what we're going to do right now is kick it back to future Leighton and future Nathan to discuss and answer some questions. So see you over there.